of him. We'll go international today with US President Donald Trump as the main focus. He's dominated the news cycle both locally and internationally since going back to the White House. So much so that we can't help but talk about him whether we like it or not. He's made headlines especially for all the wrong reasons. Well, dependent who you ask. His latest show-stopping decision is the announcement that he will sign an executive order that's on Friday that directs the Department of Defense to be known as the Department of War. The move will restore a name the agency last held in the 1940s, and according to the text of the order, the aim is to project strength and resolve. The department will initially use the new name as a secondary title, while the administration seeks congressional approval to make the change permanent. That is what we're talking about today on Matters. Helping me to analyze this is Tunde Kolawole. He's a local practitioner and current affairs analyst. Barrister Kolawole, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Good afternoon, my brother, and a very warm afternoon to all the people listening to us in Lagos, the environs, and around the world.
Okay, let's talk Donald Trump. A name that has dominated the news cycle since both locally and internationally, I might add, since he got back to the White House. He's made names for every which way reason, and we want to look at it. And of course, his latest show-stopping decision, as I like to put it, is the announcement that he will sign an executive order today that directs the Department of Defense to be known as the Department of War. Let's use that as a springboard to start the Donald Trump discussion since he got to the White House. What's your thought on this his latest executive order?
Well, let me quickly start from where you stopped. Executive order. My understanding of the law, or my legal opinion, is that executive orders are supposed to be used very sparingly. They are supposed to be used only during emergency situations. That is, where the parliament is unable to sit and pass the law when the bill is sent to them, an executive order can be used. Then again, in periods of emergency, I give you an example. If Ebola were to break out in Nigeria today or in America, the president of America, Ebola, would be right to just make an executive order as regards what he expects to be done to be able to control the spread of Ebola disease in Nigeria. So when you look at the situation that is happening in the US and all that, is there any emergency situation happening there that cannot wait for the parliament?
I mean, this is his 200th executive order since he came into office.
Exactly. So what is the emergency situation in this? Is it that the parliament cannot see? Can a bill not be prepared with regards to this change of name and sent to the parliament for them to really debate the merit and the demerit of it and then pass the law? And if they feel it's not worth it, then they will strike it. So invariably, Donald Trump is behaving like a dictator. He doesn't want whatever he wants to mean. He do whatever directions he wants to go. To be subjected, not just to parliamentary debate, but even to the decision of the court.
He's trying to circumvent the judiciary
and
the legislature.
And the legislature and all that. That precisely is what he's saying. For how long American people will continue to tolerate this, I wouldn't know. The second one is one of the other reasons he gave is that he wants the might of America to be protected. He wants America to be seen around the world, not as a defensive nation, but as an aggression nation. as a nation that is ready to take on challenges when it comes to war any time of the day. Also remember, not too long ago, about last week or thereabout, President Xi of China raised an alarm that the excesses of the U.S., even though he didn't mention U.S. and war at all, might be driving the whole world to another world war. And a conscience required to be taken so that the U.S. or the aggressor nation don't take the whole world.
Which is exactly why we're talking this. I mean, I'm not exactly a big fan of international discussions, but right now we just can't help but talk about it because it looks like so many decisions he's making is looking more like a precursor to another world war.
Exactly. And if you also look at the scenario, even though he says he wants peace, he said he wanted peace in Ukraine and all that, and that he was going to resolve the Ukrainian-Russian crisis within 100 days and all that. He has spent more than 100 days he's been able to resolve it. Two, also remember, it was touted in the media that he said he wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize. So if you want to win the Nobel Peace Prize, you start beating the drums of war the way he is doing. And then lastly, I want to say this, in the words of Professor Oloshoyinka, where he said, the tiger does not proclaim his integrity. You will never see a tiger say that I am a tiger and I'm the most powerful animal or the fastest animal in the forest. It is an action that will know whether a man has strength or weakness, or whether it's a tiger or a tortoise. So the reasons the Russian guitar for changing the name doesn't appear to me to gel with me, and I'm sure most American people have also started criticizing that. And remember, I think it was in 1940 that they changed the name now to Department of Defense. Those who changed that name to Department of Defense in 1940 or thereabout must have their reasons because they want to protect.
The change was done after World War II.
Exactly. They want to project an image that they are a peace-loving people and that they will never be the aggressor, and that it is when they are challenged or when the people impose war on them that they will go to war. So why would you now want to revert back to that kind of a name at this period in time when the war requires peace more than at any other time? The man seems to be forgetting, or maybe they are not telling him, that the most powerful nation in the world today, when you look at it, is China. When you look at the scientific breakthroughs that he has made, when you also look at the enormous land mass, when you also look at the manpower, there is a nation of about 1.6 billion and all that. Like I said in one of our previous programs, the Chinese people can throw into one single battle, just one single battle, 1 million men, and they will not feel the pinch. So is that a nation you now begin to do braggadocio that you want to protect strength, and that people are ganging up against you and war at you? So with that as it's made, it is left to the American people and then the legislature and the judiciary to look at the merits of some of these things, because the American people are never those people. Most of the executive officers he has been spinning out since he came into power, people have been taking those several orders to court, and then they have been overturned by the court for being an overreach. And the president doesn't have the power to do that kind of thing. Look at the tariff that is slamming on people. I mean, other countries are war at it. That has been defeated in court now. And the court has said, look, a tariff is another form of taxation. And it is only the parliament that can take a decision as regards what taxes to impose on the American people or not. And what have you. So, but the man keeps on reading out all these executive orders and then without subjecting some of these things to the powers of the legislature and then the judiciary. Isn't it humiliating enough when the president signs an executive order and then the legislature begin to query and then the court begin to overturn it? For me, that would have been a good time to begin to examine this your so-called post of executive order all the time when you feel so about any particular issue.
Now, Donald Trump, some may say, is become the most powerful president in history. You know, not just on paper, but in action and what's going on. Because I mean, while generally U.S. presidents in history are usually, especially post World War II, are usually like well, on paper, technically the number one citizens of the world, because I mean it basically became the world order according to the U.S. But the U.S. presidents have generally been known as kind of like a gentleman agreement between them and the U.S. Constitution, where they don't get to exercise certain things. But Donald Trump is kind of breaking down mold in the sense that he is trying to stretch the Constitution to the limit. And then there is little or nothing people can do about it, considering the huge followership he has in the US. And when you also consider the Senate and House of Reps are pretty much filled with Donald Trump loyalists, and the judiciary. As a matter of fact, everything have changed in the U.S. where, in the sense that the judiciary before now have just been the judiciary. There is no political undertone, especially the judges, the Supreme Court, to be precise. There's usually no political undertone to the judges. I mean, we can't be naive as not to think that these judges will have their personal bias and their personal politics, but that's usually where it ends. Personal bias and personal politics. But right now, all you get to hear is liberal judge and conservative judge, and most of the conservative judges are appointed by Donald Trump. So you now get to see, of course, the U.S. Supreme Court judges are 9, and now out of the 9 you have 6 conservative judges and 3 liberal judges. That's what even the U.S. judiciary has been subjected to. And when you now go to see that most of them are Donald Trump loyalists, where all they do is trying to please Donald Trump other than following the Constitution, who is there to challenge him?
Well, let me quickly say this, just like you said. I would want to say that when you look around the world today, whether it is America, whether it is the Europe or the whole of the Western world, there is a rise in the right-wing movement all over Europe and America. The right-wing elements are on the rise all over the place. And
Donald Trump has been the major MAGA fail for that.
Exactly. Look at the MAGA movement. What do they call it?
The Make America Great Again.
Exactly, Make America Great and all that. So he's been playing to that gallery of trying to please those people, the right-wing element that is on the rise all over the world. In France, the right-wing element won the last election, even though the president of France, Mr. Macron, found a way to circumvent them from taking over their power. When you also go to Spain,
and even in Germany, when you also consider their history,
in Germany,
the AFD, for example.
Like in Germany today, they used to be a pacifist nation. After they were defeated in the Second World War and all that, they undertake or the understanding or that they won't have any strong standing army. They wouldn't be investing in weaponry and all that. But the man there now seems to have been studying all of that. They now have a very huge budget for war, and then military service is now going to be made compulsory for all young people, either when they leave the university or they are about a war. So we are seeing that trend. So what Donald Trump is doing with some of these things would appear to me to be playing to the gallery of the so-called right-wing elements all over the place. The second challenge or the second thing that is making him, or that is aiding and abetting, or making him behave as if he's the most powerful person on planet Earth is that I think when you look at the American Congress today, it is dominated by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And what have you. Just like you have also said now, some of the judges you have in the U.S. today, send a very critical position. These are things like the Supreme Court and what have you. He appointed them. They are very conservative people. And it must be that when he first had his first term and were appointing these judges and other, he already had his vision as regards where he wants to take the U.S. to in terms of these attractive political tendencies and what have you. But you see, I would want to think that, I would want to say that Mr. Donald Trump is making a lot of mistakes, very, very huge mistakes. Why do I say this? When you look at most of the scientific breakthroughs that we have seen the last maybe 30 years and all that, the most significant of those scientific breakthroughs and all that have been coming from China, either on water, either in the air, or under the sea and what have you. Significant breakthrough. Look at electric vehicle that we are talking about today. Would you believe it that they are overtaking America, which started electric vehicle before them, in terms of quality, in terms of production and what have you? China is not a leading nation when it comes to producing electric vehicles. Also look at this artificial intelligence and the algorithm and what have you. The ones that Americans came up with could cost billions of dollars to produce. But with less than a quarter of the money Americans spent producing their own, the Chinese people have come up with a better artificial intelligence and algorithm. Exactly, DeepSeek and what have you. Also look at some of the social media platform and what have you. TikTok, the American people even have abandoned their own service providers in that area. Most of them are
so much so that they plan to ban TikTok in the US.
Exactly. Also look at the last military parade that China led. You look at the quality of the drones that they display, intercontinental ballistic missiles, atomic bomb and what have you. And some of these other things and all that. Even the American scientists and some of those manufacturers, especially those who manufacture phones, have come out to say, look, some of the phones that were invented or developed by the American people, they cannot produce in the US because the cost is too expensive. And that will take it out of reach of the ordinary person who should use this phone. So most of them have either migrated.
I mean, basic mathematics when it comes to setting up a company, or you build
exactly.
you build it close to the raw material. It makes it cheaper.
Exactly. So invariably, America is isolating itself all over the world. I would want to say that it appears to me that if we are talking about power, with humility, the Chinese president would appear to be the most powerful person for now today, in terms of manpower, in terms of major scientific breakthroughs in the last 20 or 30 years or thereabouts, and then in terms of size and market and what have you. I would think Mr. Donald Trump is living old glory. And look at it. They went to Afghanistan 2 times. Were they not defeated? They confronted the ragtag Taliban Mujahideen or guerrilla people in Afghanistan, and they had to flee with their tails in between their legs. So if they have that kind of military might, why wouldn't they be able to subdue the Taliban in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Also remember that in the past, they fought in Vietnam, they fought in Cambodia and what have you, and they were defeated.
Okay.
And when you come in terms of atrocities too, America is the only country in the world that has ever dropped atomic bomb on other people. Not Iran, not China, not Russia. They dropped atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing thousands or millions of people in one fell swoop. So these are not portrayals of, this is bare-faced raw power, which does not demonstrate humility and respect for human life. Also look at what is happening in Pakistan, Palestine today and what have you. The war has been on for almost 1 year plus now and all that. And who are they fighting? the Israeli people are using American weapons and what have you.
Which brings in my next question, because
okay,
we don't have time to look at all the different changes he's done, because there are quite a number of them. You need hours and hours and hours to start analyzing a lot of the decisions he's made. But and when you look at some of the decision, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what he's getting into, because he was voted into office for so many reasons, and one of the reasons is the fact that a large portion of Americans were tired of international interference. A lot of them bought his policy of isolationism, where a lot of them are saying we're tired of international wars. We're tired of spending this huge money trying to make the world a better place. What about me? What about me? I mean, so many of them may be for selfish reasons on the part of the Americans, but be it as it may, that was why they voted him into office. Isolationism. We're tired of interfering into other people's business. We're tired of inserting ourselves into other people's war. That's why he came into office. And then some of the policies, his earlier policies, he was doing and was getting applause for, was actually heading into those as isolationism, where of course some of the flurry of the tariffs it was imposing was pretty much isolating US from a lot of them. And of course he promised to end wars, where he says a lot of Americans have both contributed, stopped and also contributed to a lot of war, and where he said if he was president, the Russian-Ukraine war wouldn't have started in the first place because of the relationship he has with Vladimir Putin. Putin, and then the Israel Gaza war wouldn't have started because of the huge influence America have over Israel. And of course, we know the terrorism war they've been waging for years, that they would have gotten a better grip of Hamas, where they wouldn't have started the war in the US. And Americans applauded him, a president that will end all wars. But he has been anything but that. Exactly. So much so that even some of his allies, even someone as strong as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is an House of Reps member representing Georgia, who is one of the biggest Donald Trump fan. I mean, he's a conspiracy theorist, he's a MAGA loyalist, he's a right-wing, propagandist. Even she have started campaigning against Trump now. But do you think there is now a crack in the MAGA world, and will that stop him to some extent?
The MAGA movement is not as cohesive as we used to think it was. Look at the fallout between Donald Trump and Mr. Elon Musk. Their cooperation of convenience and all that didn't last how many months. So if the man you mentioned today is also not feeling very, very uncomfortable with Donald Trump, it shouldn't surprise us. So many other Americans who fell into his campaign and believed in him that he will address some of the issues that you have mentioned, that is taking Americans to war and using taxpayers' money to fight wars that shouldn't be there, and waste of human lives in Vietnam and some of these other places and war. A lot of people were tired of that, because when there is war, it is the children of the ordinary person that goes to that war. Even Donald Trump is the House of Judge being drafted into the American war to go and fight somewhere else. So he is not as courageous as he is pretending to be, because if he is courageous, he will not have been drafted into the American army. He would have also fought in one place or the other on behalf of his fatherland. In addition to what you have said, I should also think that some of the reasons why the American people supported him initially was because they felt that foreigners, outsiders, were coming to take over their country. The black Africans from the so-called Chispo, the Latinos and the Mexicans and what have you, and some of these other underprivileged developing nations whose leaders are not doing the right thing to turn things around in their respective countries and others. A lot of Americans were scared of the influx of all these foreigners and others. And knowing the disposition of Donald Trump and what he has been saying, that he will carry out the largest deportation in American history and what have they thought that would improve their lot, because they believe that it is these people who are not allowing them to get a job, who are not allowing them to live a comfortable life, and who are also considering themselves into criminals once they get to the American nation or country and what have you. But as that been the case, when you look at the index of crime that is committed in the U.S. and others, they are gun-related violence. And rather than address the issue of removing the guns from people's hands and what have you, they are finding it difficult to legislate against guns and others because of the powerful lobby group that the gun manufacturers have in America over the executive and over the legislators.
Especially the white supremacists.
Exactly. So why don't you take the guns out of the reach of the people so that the school children can feel safe, people can walk freely on the streets and what have you? But you refuse to do that, and you begin to criminalize and ban people because of their colors as a criminal. The Chinese people have shown us a very good example. How many wars since the Second World War have you seen the Chinese people go outside their country to fight? Now, Russia and Ukraine is fighting. Have you seen the Chinese people sending their children to those places to fight, like the men in North Korea and stuff? They will not do that because
or Belarus.
Or Belarus, because they value their human life, and they think that is never going to solve any problem at all. But you rush in there and then begin to waste people's lives just because of your personal ego. Because like I have always said, when you look at most wars all over the ages and others, they are mere exertions of the egos of the leaders who either want additional land or want to rebuild an empire or want to be seen on the world stage as superhuman beings, or who are kind of working for history and not working for their people. So when you have people who have that kind of mentality and all that, they continue to behave like Donald Trump is behaving today. Now, the Mr. Obasanjo said something which will interest us. He said, look, the world order that are taking years to carefully plot, to carefully plan, that means that Donald Trump appears to be unraveling, to be unsettling, and to be dismantling that world order. And that the consequences of what he is doing, we may not see today. It may be coming up after he may have left the state or even gone into, or even would have been dead. Well, I have one feeling that the Chinese people will be ready to contain whatever excesses that the American people might want to bring onto the table. Look at, he went to Venezuela just this week. He went and bombed some ships over there, saying that those
under the guise of a drug war.
Exactly. Now the Venezuelan people too, they have deployed their fighter jets to be tackling the American ships and submarines that are in the oceans and waters. This care is not taking. The face-off between that two countries today could lead to a blowout and then a world war, because Venezuela and Russia are close, Venezuela and China are close, Venezuela and North Korea are close. So they may see some of these things as an affront. Even if they don't put their boot on the ground and war away, they could see as an opportunity to test the latest weapons that they have manufactured. The Chinese are said to have some of the best drones now, some of the best submarines and what have you, some of the best intercontinental ballistic missiles. They are also said to have some of the best atomic arsenals that any nation could have ever dreamed of since time immemorial and what have you.
Now, let's take a look at the implication of this latest decision, changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War. When you consider what is going on around the world, where we have two major wars going on, which was the reason why he was voted in to help to stop this war. First of all, although he is finally realizing just how trickery and slippery Vladimir Putin is, during his campaign and in the beginning parts of his presidency, he appeared to praise Putin and his war effort in Ukraine. And then one of the reasons why Biden was criticized, and which later affected Kamala Harris from winning, was the fact that the US was unconditionally supporting Israel and the, as some people may put it, genocide in Gaza. And then he's coming, he's not stopped the war, he's continued to aid Israel in their operations in Gaza. He's well, for now he has stopped criticizing Volodymyr Zelensky and praising Putin, which, well, some may say that's a good start, but he's done it for so much that people may be finding it very, very difficult to see if that is a positive. And then, as you've rightly mentioned, he started his own campaign under the name of drug cartel war. And then the latest, the changing of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. One will not help but wonder, are you sure these many actions will not lead to a larger war instead of stopping the two major wars that's going on right now in the world?
It will most likely lead to war. Why do I say this? The man who says he wants to stop the wars around the world and all that, all the action that we are seeing him taking since he returned to the White House and all that, we have the possibilities of precipitating wars all over the places. Say, for example, he said he wants to annex Iceland. You will remember, which is supposed to be an independent country.
And he wants to turn Canada into the 51st state of US.
Exactly. He also now said that they want to turn Palestine into the river area of the Middle East. That the Palestinian people should be driven away from those places, and then will come and.
I mean, they did an AI video of him drinking juice in Gaza.
Exactly.
in a tourism-looking Gaza.
Also remember that the man is a businessman, and his families have always been businessmen who are into properties and war. Some of his children are also businessmen and all that. For Donald Trump, he they succeed in driving away the people from Gaza and all that. His company and his family are likely to benefit enormously from that kind of an exercise. Saying that whatever the area they want to build in Palestine and war, some of those contracts or some of those projects will most likely be handled by his companies and war. Also, don't forget that he had businesses to do in the Soviet Union in Russia long before now. He has been staging some of his beauty pageants in there. I think at the time too, he was said to be interested in building an hotel in Russia war. And if he is not doing that, opportunity to supply weapons with what is going on between Ukraine and then Russia today, even if he's not doing it directly, nothing stops some of his spouses and some of his family members surreptitiously supplying weapons to some of these theaters of war all over the place. So all these actions, all these substances, and the steps he has taken in coming into power and all that will most likely lead to war. Also remember that there's a confrontation now, or the Chinese people have been handling that very diplomatically over Taiwan. The Chinese people said they want to retake Taiwan, which is an island belonging to them. And then Mr. Donald Trump, I think, has recently also deployed warships and submarines to the seas around the South China Sea and what. Also remember they had issues in this other country that the British relinquished not too long ago, the American people, Mr. Donald Trump and all that, are still bent on, in one way, they are not comfortable with that. They will say they want to restore democracy or Western democracy in some of those places. So we shouldn't be making very rascally or very unverified, unsubstantiated pronouncements or comments on leaders. But when you look at the actions of this man, they are not coherent. His actions are not coherent at all.
So
he says one thing today, tomorrow when you ask him, he will be saying a different thing and all that. And leadership is all about coherence. Because he himself has in the past criticized Joe Biden, questioning the mental health of Joe Biden as a president. Most times he describes him as a sleeping Joe. And if he's not described as
now, let's see the implication of this in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. For years, the U.S. Have always been used as a good example of how a true and proper democracy should be practiced. And then so much so that so many activists all over the world in countries where democracies are not practiced properly fight their country, fight their leaders, stage protests. Some of them even go to prison, and some of them even die in the process, all in the name of forcing or urging their leaders to practice the kind of democracy that the US is practicing. Now it's looking like the sweat and fight and efforts of a lot of those democratic activists are going, down the drain. When you consider the US now, they're now doing a total reversal of what true democracy should be practiced, especially a country like Nigeria. Of course, we can't forget about what happened in the NSAS, where lots of Nigerian youth say they're tired, end to bad governance, end to police brutality. We want to practice democracy the way it should be practiced all over the world. Now it looks like African leaders will now see what's going on in the US as a good example to continue the bad leadership that goes on in Africa.
I agree with you totally. It's with this invasion of Ukraine and also the activities of the Israeli people in Palestine that the man in Rwanda, Zipo Kigame and Wallabo, has now gone to invade Democratic Republic of Congo. A tiny country like Rwanda now want to swallow a massive country like Congo.
When you also consider the checkered history of Rwanda, talking about the Houthi and the Tutsi,
the genocide and war. So they're taking a large chunk of Congo's land now, especially the areas in which there are very minerals and timbers and all manners of mineral resources and all that. And they do that here, that they are further expanding the activities in that country. So you will be right to say that African leaders who want to say, if the Americans that we have been touting as the leaders of democracy are now doing this, why can't we ourselves, who have never believed in democracy and who want to be like presidents and what have you, why can't we also do the same? And something significant happened recently with the meeting of some of the world leaders in China last week or thereabout.
The CSA.
Yes, exactly. The journalists were able to capture on microphone some of the comments that were made by some of these leaders. They were talking about longevity, that it should be possible to live for about 150 years now with the state of technology and then ability to really do organ grafting and then replacement and all that. When leaders begin to say that kind of a thing and all that, what they are telling you is that they will not be in a hurry to leave the political stage if they could as well live up to 150 years. And we have very good examples in Africa. Look at the man in Cameroon. They say it's 90 now. If you want to contest the election that is coming up, the man in Uganda doesn't want to leave. It was also alleged that our own generation Obasanjo didn't want to leave. He wanted a top down. And the people, most of the military juntas that have taken power in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria, and Nora, if you look at what they have done, they have made laws which does not specify when there's going to be a return to civil rule in some of those countries and others.
In order to consolidate their grip on power.
Exactly. In fact, people like the man in Rwanda and then the man in Nigeria and others, we are told, have been saying that what exists in the Western democracy on the Western world, like America and Europe and others, is not the same as the situation that exists in Africa. Now, we shouldn't be using that kind of a yardstick for some of these things. The reason why the people here, our youth and and then the progressive elements and human rights activists fell for the boogie of the American democracy is because of the soft power. The soft power that America had always deployed. You remember in those days, to give scholarship to these young people to come to American university and university and school to come and study and what have you. And when they finish their let alone, they will begin to in those places and others. Also remember, there was a time America was granting immigrant visa, diversity visa or what have you, in which because maybe because they couldn't come here now to easily take us as slaves and all that, they introduced that diversity visa in which some of the brightest young men, majorly professionals, computer scientists, artists, medical doctors and what have engineers and all that, they give them those visas and all that. Then they take them to the US and then integrate them into their economy. Some of those ones are some of the people now who are doing spectacular things in those places. Also, you remember they will give aid to displaced people. They will build schools and then provide infrastructural facilities in some places where those infrastructures are not available. So as to endear themselves to the average Nigerian and to the average African people. It was that thought power deployment that made our youth, our progressive children, to believe or to think or to begin to say or act and begin to push that we should adopt the American model of democracy in managing our affairs. But you see, that is not the best. You have countries like Sweden and some of these other countries and what have you, who have a better model in which the aspirations or the goal of the state is that nobody ever goes to bed without food, in which capitalism is not the commanding height of the economy.
Okay. So when you consider, since the moving back, talking about Nigeria now, since we went back to democracies in 1999 after the military rule, and when you now with what has gone on in Nigeria since then, and when you now also consider since the APC came into power, where clamp down on dissent, where you can't criticize the APC government without them sending DSS or EFCC or on you, because I remember a couple of times then, especially during the Muhammadu Buhari administration, where my bosses then in the TV station I work with, whenever had a meeting with us, like, please be careful what you say. I don't want to come and start making phone calls and be begging for DSS to release you. That's how severe it was, especially in the Muhammadu Buhari administration. That seems to be a parallel between that and what's going on in the US now. Considering people were shouting, let's practice democracy the way it should be done in the US. Do you think democracy is dying? That's a deep one to answer, right?
It is. If what we are seeing in the West is anything
and I'm sorry to cut you, because even in the US now, it looks like some people in the US, especially those in the MAGA world, are saying we don't care if Donald Trump is an authoritarian president, as far as he imposes what we believe on the US. We're good with it. It's now difficult now to fight for democracy, as it were.
It has always been difficult, let me tell you.
Yeah.
To fight for democracy. If you know how many people have died in the US because of this so-called Western democracy, you'll be shocked. Martin Luther King died for democracy. Malcolm X died for democracy. Muhammad Ali suffered a lot because of democracy. All those musicians like Steve Wonder and all that.
I mean, presidents were assassinated in the US. I'm trying to
remember. Exactly, because they were trying to do things that
make reforms.
The right-wing elements didn't want done. But the truth of the matter is that with what we are seeing, I will also say that Western democracy is not a good model for us to really adopt. I would have preferred a situation we have a kind of a democratic humanist society, not based strictly on capitalism or profit and losses account, as we see in some of these so-called Western democracies. People should be their brothers' keepers. Nobody should be able to go to bed without having food on their table. In fact, also, we want to see a situation in which all these different political parties that we have all over the place, we scrap it. What we should have in Nigeria and most of African countries, in my humble opinion, is a kind of maybe like in Nigeria, Nigerian People's Congress. When you have a Nigerian People's Congress, both the army, both the police, both the trade unions, both the students and all that, we have their representatives in parliament. And then from there, they will also have their representatives in the executive arm of government. And they will be the organ of the state. When the budget about the army is to be debated and what should be done, the army have knowledgeable people in parliament to speak for them. And also the executive arm of government to make sure that whatever is been approved for them is made available to them, the executive arm of government. The students who will be in parliament, first that all these party democracy that we have in there, which is merely a bazaar, winner takes all, is merely buying and selling of votes and what have you, is not attempting to solve any problem. And look at the people you have mentioned. When you look at the antecedents, are these people really Democrats? No. When Muhammad Buhari came back this second time around, one of the utterances that has been attributed to him is that he is feeling a handicap, unlike when he was meeting head of state. That some of the things he would have loved to do, this democracy and this parliament and the media are not allowing him to do it because they want to try to do some of those things. They say you are a dictator, you are not a Democrat and all that. Does that speak about the mindset of a Democrat? The answer is no. And also, when you look at with due respect to him, you look at the APC or the president that we have in power today, and you actually say he has 100% democratic antecedent, the answer is no. Remember how he handled the Gani Adams case when Gani Adams was trying to fight for his Yoruba people. Also remember that of Akele, one of the civil service labor leaders in Lagos State and all that. He was unceremoniously sacked from civil service job, and until that boy had a miserable life, all his entitlements as a civil servant.
And when you also consider Nnamdi Kanu still in prison, despite several courts saying the federal government don't have enough evidence to.
The government has been in power now for 2 years. The government has been in power for 2 years now. It's sufficient time to review the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Also see what is happening in Rivers State. Also see what is happening in Osun State and what happened. in broad daylight, some people took laws into their hands, took over local government, and consequently upon that, the local government allocations have been stopped and stopped. You look at Rivers today, there is no, the condition in Rivers State does it warrant the kind of suspension of the democratic institution that we already, that we have in Rivers State today. Look at also the way and manner the resources, the money of the country is being spent. Private jets, which were never budgeted for, tractors for local government, which were never budgeted for by parliament, and what have they. And some of these other spending that I'm not too sure that the so-called coastal roads were budgeted for, even though they tell us that it is a contractor who is doing those coastal roads that will look for the funds to do the job.
I mean, it is a lot to consider and a lot to look into.
Yeah. And they say, are you not going to pay him? Is he not going to mount road blocks in those places and then begin to collect toll gates? So if he spent maybe 200 naira to construct that road, and you let him just look for the money wherever you could find it, could he not say it is 1,000 naira that he used to construct the road? And so for so many years, he would be collecting tolls on those roads and what have you, until the road becomes dilapidated again. And when it becomes dilapidated, he will abandon it for the government to come and refix. And look at the history of toll gates in Nigeria. You remember, there was a time all those expressways, Lagos, Ibadan, and all that, they had tolls in them, which the airlines shared among themselves. Abacha had one. The late Mekojuku had one. I think Alhaji Arisekola also took one. And I can't remember the other people. And they were collecting this toll gate without remitting anything to the federal government, to the nation's account. Exactly. And not that. Is that the model we want to go back into? Taking cognizance of our past experiences. Also look at all the public institutions that have been sold to private individuals in this country. How many of them are still alive today? Go and check. Most of those private organizations, most of those public institutions, there's a sold to private businessmen in this country. How many of them are still alive? And if they are alive, how many of them are doing well?
In other words, you're touting the kind of democracy that suits how we operate, our culture and tradition.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we have to leave it here because
even the so-called lovers will be participants in that democracy. So that's my thesis.
Unfortunately, we have to go. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I wish we can talk more. This is a very deep conversation. We need at least 3 hours to talk about this because we are in a changing world and it's not for the better, unfortunately. We need an African model of democracy. Thank you very much, Barrister Kolawole. Thank you. That's Tunde Kolawole, legal practitioner and current affairs analyst. Now the phone lines are open. I know I've been getting lots of messages. A lot of people are itching to make their own contribution to this show. So yes, the phone lines are open now. The number to call 0700 903 903 903 or 0803 692 9933. Or phone call or text message via WhatsApp 081-717-56338. Unfortunately, I only have like 20 minutes to take these phone calls and read your messages. I do sincerely apologize for that. We needed to talk about this topic. It is and how these affect us as Nigerians. Hello. Oh. Okay, let me read some of the many messages I have here. Okay, let's pick this call first. Hello. Uh-oh. I've tried. Okay, good afternoon, VOP and good people of Nigeria. Ikena from Ikorodu. I think Donald Trump is trying to put Americans in the forefront of the world. I mean, if you hear Americans, it will send fear to your spine and all over your body again in the world. And country and nation must set their brand, making everyone should know Americans and stay away from America. Yeah, Americans have always been the forefront of the world since, the world we are since World War II, since after World War II has basically been what American says it will be. So Americans have always been before that, the euro, the pounds, they've all bowed down to dollars. So yeah, it's been the world according to America right from time. Hello. What is going on? Okay, good to Solomon. This is George from Lagos Island, and watched the Chinese Memorial Day parade at 80 yesterday, and I can tell President Donald Trump and his team watched it. He saw Xi Jinping and the likes of Putin and Kim there. Well, President Trump might be just right, trying to place the security of his country first, and while looking at a broader scale of world power and peace. The world keeps evolving. Let's watch and see. Let's not blame Donald Trump, regardless of the fact he's a pioneer, an example of what democracy. Other countries practice other form of government. I still believe China, Russia, US can all come together and make the world better, and even better, even though we live in a world full of wealth, pride, and power. Thank you. A good day, Solomon. A great barrister exactly in the house. Why so much concentration on America while we have our own issues? Our own issues, that's according to Sheikh Otomitire. Our own issues is exactly why we're talking about America. Because the way Donald Trump is behaving now will give American countries and Nigerian leaders more reason to be undemocratic. Tell your guests to focus on economy where Donald Trump is making a huge mistake by his tariffs war, which is isolating America, but on military. Even China will run away from Afghanistan with the terrain. Remember, Russia even ran away from Afghanistan. Israel and Russia are stuck with Hamas and Ukraine. Military victory for any country over another country these days should not be a topic. Hello. A lot of people are flashing me. I don't understand. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Su. Good afternoon.
Finally, good afternoon. Welcome to VOP. Tell us the name where you're calling from.
I'm Gospel calling from Badagry.
Okay, Gospel, go ahead.
I say globally there is a kwashiorkor of leadership, but the most annoying part is that the spiral it affects is affecting Africa. Why? Because you see the West that they install these puppets to call leaders. Now, if you check some of the policies of Donald Trump, what is he doing? He's taxing the whole world.
Yes.
So that for the benefit of Africa. But yeah, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is taxing Nigeria for the benefit of the West. If you check what happened this, was it Monday or Tuesday, where China called almost 20 world leaders. What were they trying to do? They were trying to pass three messages. Number one, to tell America, we are at par with you. Number two, they were trying to speak to people like Africa. If you check, was it last week or thereabouts, where our leader Bola Ahmed Tinubu were celebrating that we cannot exchange money with yen. We cannot do bilateral trade with China directly. But to me, my major concern is either America thought defense to war is not of our problem. But the most annoying is that the commodity we have to supply to the world, you see this same West that controls it. Like if America and the world are having issues, globally the increase in the price of petroleum. Instead of Nigeria to enjoy it, what will happen? Either if they increase the price, global, if crude oil increase, yeah, there will be increase in petroleum price, and if it's reduced, there will be no revenue for we to enjoy it. So I say, moving forward, Africa should just begin to look within, because at the long run, there is no free food in free time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot of messages here. I'm trying to pick the best one. Some of these messages are out of focus, okay? Solomon Asika from Mushin. Solomon, I can attest to what your guest is saying. The terminals of the ferry is this is not for this show. Okay, the number to call is 0700 903 903 903. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. This is VOP.
I be President speaking from Epe.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
The kind of democracy that we have is typical to us in Nigeria. And all this while, we have been having leaders that don't really understand what the democracy is and what they can do for Nigeria. But today we have somebody that's trying to carry Nigeria through very, very massive infrastructural strides. Okay? Which require a lot of money. But yet we are castigated, we are criticized, I don't know. But I thank God that he has this kind of bold mind to do all these things. We will try and give him opportunity, assist him with our goodwill. Just like the other day, the first lady, she said she wants to do the National Library. That people should own it. All right? But everybody started complaining. It's even an opportunity. You have the money to do that. If your money is everything there, that means you are owning it.
Okay, hello.
Every time we...
Hello. Now, what's good is huge infrastructure if the citizens are hungry?
A lot of good. You know, those days in America was
because a lot of these infrastructures are long-term infrastructure. A lot of the infrastructures that lead for. Okay, that's what if everybody is dead of hunger, who will be alive to utilize this infrastructure?
You know that most of the great infrastructure in Europe, it was at a great cost, but they are benefiting it today. Why those leaders are erecting those infrastructure? They also make sure that people their citizens are not going hungry, and they are not being killed with this disadvantage. Many people paid with their blood. Many workers were starved. If you go and read history, you see the massive infrastructure is not a small.
Many workers were starved, were killed. What country are we? What countries are we talking about?
Check about the Egypt history. How they build
Egypt history.
They build it on a lot of people's.
You're talking about things that were done in the 6th century. You're comparing that now to 2025.
We are just starting it. We are starting today. We have started things.
The level of growth is not the same. You can't compare how things were done at some 3,000-4,000 years ago to now.
Nobody is there. I said that because of where you went to. Nobody is there to
really. So you're comfortable. So personally, you're comfortable with your neighbors, your family members going hungry. Airport is being you say we can sacrifice
for the good future.
Do you know the sacrifice? The sacrifice need to start from the leaders. We have leaders that travel abroad every month. Their sacrifice should start from there.
Everybody will sacrifice, just like JFK.
Exactly, everybody. But right now, it's the citizens are sacrificing while the leaders are traveling abroad. I mean, exactly.
Most time it's always like that.
Why will it be like that? Are you comfortable with that? Is that the kind of leader you want for this country?
No, but at the end, we will see that everybody will smile.
What end?
Our children will smile. But those infrastructure are not
okay.
It will be a deficit on our part.
Okay. If you are prepared to go hungry, I don't think every Nigerians are ready for that.
I'm prepared to farm my children, my grandchildren. We have a better thing to
you don't sound hungry though, but congratulations. Lots of Nigerians don't want to go hungry. Thank you very much.
Even the rich men, they are feeling it.
Are you sure the rich people are? What world are you living in? The rich men are not feeling it. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Number to call 0700-903-903-903. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. This is VOP.
Hello.
Hello. Can you move to a quieter place? Where you are is quite noisy. That's why you can't hear me. I can't even hear you.
Okay, but can you hear me now?
Oh, please. You have to call back. So. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, the big solo. This is Lucky Boy calling from Ladikwa.
Okay, Lucky Boy, go ahead.
You see, that second to last caller, there are the type of people we have in this Nigeria that will make Nigeria never to move forward. Look at what he's saying. Speaking from both sides of his mouth, that we are feeling it. We will sacrifice. Sacrifice what? When the person that is telling us tighten your belt is busy wearing agbada, traveling up and down, we should continue to tighten our belt. I don't tie my belt, it remain one single hole there now.
That's why you can see Nigeria's problem is not just leadership. Even we as Nigerians, we have to reorientate ourselves. Hello.
We have to reorientate ourselves when some people have been stuck, their mouth has been stuck with money, just like that last caller. I hope that man has been, his mouth has been stifled with money. That's why he cannot speak the truth. We should sacrifice. Sacrifice what?
Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Well, this is why Nigeria's problem is not just leadership. We as citizens need to. Will we even recognize a good leader when we see one? Hello.
Mr. Solo.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome to VOP.
Don't mind we Nigerians, we're all suffering and smiling. Unless you're benefiting from this government directly, you are one of the people suffering in this country. Anybody. Move to the city and see what is going on. These people that pretend as if things are well, they don't know how to turn back. They are the ones that price things cover and pay inside the market. They are the ones that are not even happy, but they keep on defending government because they have started, they have no option. We know them. Okay, now, if you're telling me this country is good, how can you have something like 50 calls? Yeah? It's only 3 people that are supporting the government. Is that not enough to tell you what is going on? You don't need anybody to tell you now. You have a call up to 50 calls. It's only 3 people. The same 3 people we know since this government started are the ones defending government. And we engage them on conversation. They can't stand. Look at what we are going through. President is jumping up and down with the private jet, with yacht, with different cars, with escort, with everything. And the country is bleeding. Look at now, very soon they said that for January they will add one percentage on fuel. The same fuel they have removed subsidy on it. And we are suffering and smiling. Things are getting bad. People are dying on the street. Politicians are asking money. Now they have now started moving us to go and face their governor. We hear things like their governors are getting more money. And so what? Who are those governors? The ones that they lead to their party. But the ones that work in the other party are working for them too. These are just saying the ritual disadvantaging us. Face their governor, face their governor. Is it going to determine the price of the fuel or the price of some things? God bless you, sir.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Well, looks like that first caller have changed entirely what we're supposed to be talking about. Is laid a marker for what this discussion is at the end of the day. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. This is VOP.
Thank you. This is Stanley on the line from Amu.
Okay, go ahead, Stanley.
Please. You see, that man that is saying those things, that is the type of elders that are helping to spoil this country. Maybe it's in the list of those that are collecting their parlay something. That's why they can't say the truth. And when they see the truth, they don't want to say the truth. And that's why this country can never move forward. If you have this kind of people, elderly people that are supposed to put these leaders in their right position, tell them the truth so that they can do good. And they are doing all those things that are not good.
Okay.
That's my contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello. Hello. Oh, well, this guy, your number is not. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Paul.
Yes, so welcome to VOP. Good afternoon. Tell us the name where you're calling from.
My name is Shola. I'm calling from Epeda.
Okay, Shola, go ahead.
Yeah, I know you started this discussion with
Donald Trump, or now the
Yeah.
now the topic have changed because of
yeah,
that
yeah.
first
So,
caller.
I'm going to talk to the quickly.
Okay.
What I can sense is that the world is tilting towards a global war, and Trump is like he seems to be a warmonger. I don't know. By
He is.
declaring the Department of War, what does it mean by that? And look at China. I think China did some parade, was it yesterday or something,
Yeah.
when they were in their war instruments.
They,
So
they were pretty much beating the war drum.
you see, so Trump is trying to, is trying to establish America as a world force. We don't need to impose that on us. Now saying that changing that their name to the Department of War,
From Department of Defense to Department of War.
in fact, it means a lot. It means a lot, and I can tell you, the world is heading towards another war. Now, coming back to this
God help
president,
us.
see, the truth of the matter is that everything lies in our hands of experience. These people that we have as well as they're a reflection of the kind of people they are. Look at that last caller. We have some of them like that, but they are not as many as people that have different views and opinions, people that are sincere. But the problem is that we are so docile. I'm telling you, how many people want to look at government elections? No, they are just looking for presidential. And these people have perfected all their tasks. What they did, they ever think is what they will do 27. The best thing is that this energy that the president is saying that he's advocating for what they call state policing. Why is he not advocating? Why won't he use that power for electoral reforms? You see what I'm talking about? So Nigerians will start rising up now because it is in our hands. They will do the same thing. We have, in fact, the worst of us is really the best of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. One more call before we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to VOP.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Solomon.
Tell us the name where you're calling from, please.
Okay. That's Tony from Aparanje in Ekoto.
Okay, Tony. 1 minute, please.
Okay.
You'll probably be my last caller.
Okay. I want to say something. We are talking of our leader. It feels like this is our leader. They know they watch other countries. Okay, if you watch Cameroon, I say Cameroon, Ghana, if you see the way the leader, the president of Ghana used to work with that car and one escort only. I used to watch, but if you go to their parliament, the House of Rape, and they are okay, if you watch them, if you come here, you pour our food. You go there and pour our food. Because they very coordinated. Look at their police. Police go where the mile goes. But illegal mine. Go there and arrest people. They don't beat anybody from the bank up. If in Nigeria, so they hear to use good to kick you, slap you, do you anything they like. It's very bad. I don't know where we are going. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a nice day to you too. Tell that caller that he should be careful. Honestly, the country needs a total overhaul. You are sacrificing while the other person is busy enjoying. So for head suffering and smiling. Sorry to say, but he might not be alive to see that good time. Fear God and love humanity. That's Georgia from Lagos Island. The caller is like Peter of Ikotun. Please, when you see people like that, cut them off so they will not change the topic of the day. Please, God bless you. Ikena from Ikorodu. I have the feeling that some guys sworn that this country will never get better. That's the reason why we are not practicing democracy, but palliative system of government. Sheikot from Itire. Thank you very much, Sheikot. Good afternoon, Solomon Asika from Mushin. You can tell Nigerian politics has problem. The focus initially was concerning Donald Trump and American politics, but it has changed to Nigerian politics. Okay, this time for us to go. I'm sure some of us want to make our contributions, but sorry about that. Next week, Monday, is another day. The time is 1:30. The program is Matters, Station Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Do follow our social media handles at VOP 903 FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP 903 FM. I am Solomon Offem. Thank you for listening. Nigeria.